Hello there everyone, it's Lydia here and I'm so excited to be taking part in the very first Heffy Doodle Stamps Designs blog hop. So this is the card I'm going to be creating and it has a concealed slider in it and I'm going to be showing you how to create. Just how cute are those little crocks? When I first saw them I knew I had to have them. I asked Leslie very nicely if these are the ones that she would send to me and she did, and they are so fun. I love them so much and there is so many cards that you can make with them and my kids love these too. So I decided to make my kids' birthday cards with these ones. And this is going to be Tilly's. So I've inked the stamp up with some Memento because I'm going to be doing it with some Copic markers. And I've also chosen some other little elements from the stamp set. This is the Happy Snappy Crocs stamp set. And I'm going to be stamping those up as well, again in Memento, so I can colour in some alcohol markers. So I'm going to do some quick colouring for you now. And these are the colours that I'll be using. So this is BG49. She loves turquoise, so this is going to be a turquoise croc. So it does end up looking a bit more like a dinosaur by the end. I've used BG15, BG13, and then BG32 for the lightest shade. So I've started with the darkest into the shadows and then worked my way up through the darker shades, and then using the lighter shade to blend everything out. I'm just adding some BG15 and BG13 along his spines on his back as well. So I'm colouring things in pink and turquoise, and I think I'm going to do a bit of a, a vanilla cake, not a chocolate cake. So it's going to have a bit of jam in as well. So these are the reds, R59, R29 and R27. Sorry, I'm doing it a bit quickly, but I didn't think I wanted to bore you with the colouring. I'm also using the coordinating die set to cut all the pieces out, and they just cut perfectly. Look how cute those little images are. So they leave a little white border around the outside, and I just think that they are perfect just the way they are. So I'm just going to pop these out and I'm going to move them to the side while I work on the rest of the card. So I have a panel here cut with Winnie and Walter Catherine Cutaways, and that's the larger panel in the die set, and I'm going to cut this perfectly out of one piece of card and then a half of one as well. I'm doing this so all the dots around the outside of the panels line up well. I'm then going to use the half a panel that I've just cut and I'm going to be inking these up. I'm using some Catherine Pooler inks. I've used Lime Ricky, Garden Party, this is the Garden Party, and also the Melon Ice. Now these are really juicy ink pads and they do blend beautifully, so I recommend these if you are a big blender. They work really well, and some of my favourite colours as well. I'm then going to create like a little cloudy sky, so I'm using some Mama Elephant, the Landscape Trio, and I'm going to be using the clouds. I've cut this out of some stamping masking paper, but I didn't want to waste the whole sheet of masking stamping paper from Inkadinkado, so I've just chopped the top off and added it onto a piece of scrap paper. So then it's still got the mask all the way down at the sheet, but it's not all sticky. The top bit is, so it's just like a huge sticky note at the minute, and it is reusable. So I just find this is the best way to use your products and make that sticky masking paper stretch a little bit further. I've then taken the piece of green that we've just blended and I'm cutting the top off with Lawn Fawn Grassy Border because I wanted it to be a bit of a grass. I'm then using some Winnie and Walter dies again. This is Noel Cutaways. I don't have any slider cutaways, so I thought that this one would work, so I've cut it out once. I'm going to remove it, then I'm going to turn it over, make sure it's still in the same place, you know, in the channel, in the other piece. So I flip it over, make sure that it's going to be cutting perfectly, and it's going to give me a really great slider channel. So it's just cut that tiny bit off the second time I did it. I'm then going to be adding some tape. Now I'm going to add, oh, sorry about the head, some foam tape at the bottom, at the top, and one of the edges. You don't want to do the other edge where you want it to slide out because it won't slide out, it'll get stuck. So I want to add a little bit of a decorative edge to my slider piece. I've just got Lawn Fawn stitch borders, and this is the large one, and it just goes on perfectly on my little slider element that I'm going to be using to pull the Mr. Crocodile across. I then have the Interactively Yours, from Heffy Doodle, and I'm going to be placing the little pull me on the pull slide. These are such a cute set. There is so many different interactive words in there, and also words that you don't have to use with the interactive cards. You can use them all the time. This sentiment is from the Happy Snappy Crocs, and I think it is so fun. Wishing you a snappy birthday. What could be more perfect? So I'm going to add a little bit of anti-static powder just around the edge of the bottom piece where I'm going to slide it. I just don't want any sticky on there so my slider gets stuck. And then removed all of the tape on the back of my piece and added it onto my card front. I'm then going to place my little slider element in, and it slides in lovely because it's just nice and tight and perfect. So I've popped that in, and then I need to add some little stilts onto my crocodile because I want him to move across the top of the grass. So I've just added him some little stilts. I've angled them in so it gives him a greater range of movement on the slider. And I've added some talc or baby powder to the back of his feet, just in case there was a little bit of sticky left. I've got him into position, added a couple of lines so I know where to stick my tape. So this is foam tape, and I'm sticking this under those lines that I've just drawn so he can just wander along the grass perfectly. I'm pulling it out so I know where it needs to go, so I don't want it to pull any further than that. So that is going to stop that slider element pulling out of the card completely. He's not going to go anywhere. So this is the grass. I'm just checking where it needs to go, and those little stilts were a little bit too long, so I've just chopped the bottoms off there so it can go over nicely. I'm adding some tape along the bottom edge, one of the sides, and then I'm just adding two little pieces. This is going to stop him going any further than that, so it's going to keep him nice and controlled. Just, you don't want him wandering about anywhere, you just want him on the grass. So I'm going to remove the tape at the top of the tape, and then add my grass into place. At this point, I remembered I'd forgot to put his little plate on his hand, so I've added a little bit of scratch paper behind him, and just added the plate and the little goodies on there. With some glossy accents. I wanted it kind of like it was falling, but not completely falling, a bit quirky. So that's how I've done it. Made sure it was nice and flat and dry before I removed the scratch piece. And now it just goes perfectly along the grass. It is just so cute. And I'm sure my little girl will love it. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope that maybe I've given you a few tips and tricks when creating slider cards, and I hope you give it a go. Thank you so much for watching, and have a beautiful day. Goodbye!